Welcome to the Declassified Files. I'm your host, Ben Carter. In the depths of a long-abandoned military bunker, beneath layers of dust and years of neglect, lay a file stamped with the ominous warning, "Top Secret." It had been overlooked, perhaps intentionally, through decades of declassification and public disclosures. As the first hint of daylight pierced this forgotten chamber, the stark red "Top Secret" stamp seemed almost to glow, a beacon calling out from the shadows of the past. This was no ordinary file. It was the archive of Operation Dragonfly, a name that hinted at the covert and ominous nature of its contents. The yellowing pages within, once white and crisp, now bore the weight of long-held secrets, stories untold, histories that had narrowly avoided becoming reality. As the first page was turned, the stale scent of aged paper filled the room. Operation Dragonfly had been a contingency plan during the height of the Cold War. A plan so dangerous, so potentially catastrophic, that its existence had been buried, locked away in this bunker to be forgotten by time. Its pages detailed a series of chilling, near-miss nuclear incidents, events that had brought humanity to the brink of annihilation. The first document detailed an incident in 1962, at the height of the Cuban Missile Crisis. A U.S. warplane, armed with a nuclear payload, had strayed into Soviet airspace. For a tense 12 minutes, the world teetered on the brink of nuclear war, as diplomats scrambled to resolve the misunderstanding before it escalated into full-blown conflict. The second incident was even closer to home. A malfunction in a North Dakota missile silo in 1961 had almost resulted in an accidental detonation of a nuclear weapon on American soil. A simple wiring fault was all that stood between the status quo and a disaster of unimaginable proportions. The last incident, however, was the most chilling of all. In 1983, a Soviet early warning system had misinterpreted sunlight reflecting off clouds as incoming U.S. nuclear missiles. It was only the quick thinking of the duty officer on that fateful day, who chose to ignore the system's warning, that prevented a retaliatory nuclear strike. These nail-biting incidents, mere footnotes in the annals of Cold War history, were a sobering reminder of how close humanity has come to self-destruction. The secrets of Operation Dragonfly, hidden for so long in this secluded bunker, served as a chilling testament to the razor-thin line between peace and nuclear devastation. As the bunker's steel door was closed once again, the echoes of these near-miss incidents lingered, a silent admonition from the past. The inception of Operation Dragonfly dates back to the initial years of the Cold War, a period of extreme tension and paranoia. It was an era characterized by deadly silence and the shadow of mushroom clouds looming over humanity's future. The architects behind Operation Dragonfly were privy to this information, understanding the gravity and the potential devastation it could wreak upon the world. The first appearance of Operation Dragonfly in the public record surfaced in the early 1990s, following the dissolution of the Soviet Union. As the Iron Curtain lifted, so too did the veil of secrecy that had shrouded many Cold War operations. Abandoned bunkers and forgotten files were unearthed, shedding light on the clandestine operations that had once driven the global political landscape. However, the emergence of the Operation Dragonfly file was not a simple revelation. Instead, it was a calculated disclosure, meticulously orchestrated by government entities seeking to maintain control over the narrative. The document's release was handled with the utmost caution, with a careful selection of information made public while other details remained classified. The motives behind this selective disclosure were twofold. On one hand, it was an attempt to maintain public trust by demonstrating transparency. On the other, it served as a reminder of the consequences of nuclear warfare, underscoring the importance of diplomatic resolutions over military aggression. The political climate of the time was ripe for such revelations. The world had witnessed the fall of the Berlin Wall and the demise of communism in Eastern Europe. There was a pervasive sense of optimism, a belief that the world was stepping away from the precipice of nuclear annihilation. In this context, the release of the Operation Dragonfly file served as a sobering reminder of the past, a warning from history about the fragility of peace and the ever-present risk of nuclear conflict. However, the unveiling of Operation Dragonfly wasn't without controversy. Its release sparked heated debates over the morality and ethics of nuclear warfare, with critics questioning the motives behind its creation and suppression. Others saw it as evidence of government manipulation and the extent to which the truth had been obscured during the Cold War. The secrecy surrounding Operation Dragonfly was a reflection of the times. At its core, this was a plan born out of fear, a strategy concocted in the shadow of potential nuclear Armageddon. Its suppression was symptomatic of the lengths governments were willing to go to keep the populace unaware of the stark reality of nuclear warfare. For decades, it remained hidden, a testament to the chilling game of brinkmanship that characterized the Cold War era. The Operation Dragonfly files' emergence into the public purview was not a quiet affair. Its discovery was not by accident, nor was it a result of journalistic investigation. Instead, it was a deliberate act of declassification by the government, a carefully orchestrated unveiling executed with surgical precision. The document was released into the wild, a political strategy dressed up as total transparency. The public reaction was immediate and polarizing. On one side, there were those who applauded the government's supposed candor, seeing it as a brave new step towards transparency and accountability. They believed the release of Operation Dragonfly was a sign of changing times, a bold move away from the secrets and paranoia of the Cold War era. In stark contrast, others reacted with outrage and disbelief. Critics saw this as a calculated move to control the narrative, a way to sanitize and rationalize what they viewed as a shameful chapter in history. There were fierce debates over the ethics of such a plan, the morality of using nuclear weapons as a threat, and the implications of hiding such information from the public for decades. The government, for its part, remained largely silent, watching as the storm raged, offering little more than vague assurances that the release was in the best interest of the nation. This only served to fuel more conspiracy theories, with some speculating that Operation Dragonfly was just the tip of the iceberg, a minor revelation made to distract from darker, more damning secrets. The revelation of Operation Dragonfly also caught the attention of the international community. Countries around the globe reacted with a mixture of shock, condemnation, and quiet introspection. Many began to question their own nuclear policies, prompting a re-evaluation of their strategies and sparking a renewed commitment to nuclear disarmament. In the midst of this storm, the truth of Operation Dragonfly became something of a political football, kicked around by those with agendas of their own. The file's release, intended to serve as a stark reminder of the potential horrors of nuclear warfare, instead became a mirror reflecting the fears, prejudices, and paranoia of the time. In the end, the unveiling of Operation Dragonfly marked a turning point. It forced the world to confront the dark possibilities that lie in wait when power is coupled with fear. It brought to light the lengths to which government entities are willing to go to maintain control, to keep secrets, and to manipulate public perception. And in doing so, it laid bare the thin line that separates transparency from manipulation, and the fine balance that must be maintained to keep the world from teetering over the edge of nuclear annihilation. Operation Dragonfly wasn't a solitary act implemented by faceless organizations. It involved key individuals and groups, each playing a role in its inception, execution, and concealment. The chain of command was intricate and secretive, designed to ensure that information traveled only to those with the highest security clearances. At the apex of this clandestine hierarchy was the National Security Council, an elite group of advisors tasked with briefing the president on matters of national security. Within this council, a subcommittee known as the Special Group was formed, tasked with overseeing Operation Dragonfly. This group was a veritable who's who of Cold War power players, including the Secretary of Defense, the National Security Advisor, and the Director of Central Intelligence. The Central Intelligence Agency, CIA, was deeply involved in executing the operation. The agency's secretive nature and global reach made it an ideal candidate for managing the logistics involved in deploying nuclear weapons around the globe. The CIA was also responsible for the creation of plausible cover stories to explain the presence of military personnel and equipment in the locations where the weapons were deployed. The Department of Defense, too, was instrumental in implementing the operation. The military's command structure, Discipline and resources were leveraged to ensure the swift and covert transportation of the nuclear weapons. The Joint Chiefs of Staff, the military's highest-ranking officials, were deeply involved in the planning and execution of Operation Dragonfly. The Department of Energy was tasked with the technical aspects of the operation, including the construction, maintenance, and ultimately, the dismantling of the nuclear weapons. Scientists and engineers from the department's various labs and facilities played an essential part in this, often working under strict secrecy. Lastly, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI, was involved in the domestic aspects of Operation Dragonfly. The Bureau was tasked with ensuring that the operation remained a secret from the American public. This involved monitoring potential leaks, investigating any individuals who might have gleaned information about the operation, and managing any domestic fallout should the operation be exposed. Each of these agencies and individuals played a critical role in Operation Dragonfly, maintaining a careful balance of power, secrecy, and mutual trust. Their collective actions created an operation shrouded in secrecy, one that would remain hidden for decades until its eventual declassification forced the world to confront its nuclear past. In sifting through the available evidence, a peculiar pattern begins to emerge. The documents related to Operation Dragonfly, now declassified, are a patchwork of redacted lines, heavily censored pages, and reports that seem to be missing key sections. The National Security Archive, a non-governmental research organization, has been instrumental in obtaining these documents through the Freedom of Information Act. Yet, the released files often raise more questions than they answer, with their cryptic language and suspicious omissions. Perhaps the most striking example of this is the Department of Defense's Operational Plan 80U-10-12. This document, dated June 1959, details the targets for nuclear strikes and the expected casualties. However, entire pages of this critical document are missing, fueling speculation about the full extent of the plan and the potential magnitude of destruction envisaged. Transcripts of conversations between high-ranking officials also reveal a significant degree of tension and disagreement. For instance, a heated exchange between the Secretary of Defense and the Director of Central Intelligence in July 1962 suggests a rift in the operation's leadership. The exact cause of this disagreement is unclear, as key portions of the transcript have been redacted. Of particular note is a series of photographs from the CIA's archives, depicting unmarked cargo planes at undisclosed locations. These images, though seemingly innocuous, are believed to show the covert transportation of nuclear warheads. The planes' registration numbers are deliberately obscured, and the backgrounds are nondescript enough to prevent the identification of the locations. The fact that such seemingly mundane images were classified hints at the vast scope of the operation. Eyewitness accounts also shed light on the secretive nature of Operation Dragonfly. Retired military personnel have spoken of midnight flights, unmarked cargo, and strict orders to ask no questions. These testimonies, though unable to provide concrete evidence, paint a picture of an operation conducted under the cloak of absolute secrecy. The gaps, redactions, and contradictions within the declassified documents serve to deepen the mystery surrounding Operation Dragonfly. They hint at a narrative far more complex and potentially more terrifying than what has been officially acknowledged. These silences in the official record have fueled ongoing debates and speculation about the true nature and scope of this clandestine operation. As we delve further into these Doomsday files, we are reminded that sometimes the most frightening truths are those that remain unspoken. Media coverage of Operation Dragonfly was scarce, given the clandestine nature of the project. However, once the declassified documents surfaced, a surge of interest arose among journalists, academics, and conspiracy theorists. This newfound public scrutiny compelled the government to respond, albeit with vague statements and non-answers. Early reports were mostly speculative, often drawing upon Cold War paranoia and fear of nuclear annihilation. These stories were filled with conjecture and sensationalism as journalists grappled with the scant available information and the chilling implications of a secret nuclear operation. This sensational coverage heightened public concern, and the government was forced into a reactive stance. An investigation by the New York Times in the early 1970s, however, brought a more nuanced approach. Their team of investigative journalists pieced together fragments of information from the declassified documents and eyewitness accounts, crafting a narrative that was both compelling and deeply unsettling. While the government remained tight-lipped, the report sparked a renewed public interest in the subject. Research institutions and academics also played a crucial role in shaping public understanding. Historians delved into the political and social context of the time, while political scientists analyzed the strategic implications of such an operation. Their research offered a more measured perspective, tempering the sensationalism of the media with thoughtful analysis and informed speculation. Pop culture, too, had a part to play. The mystique surrounding Operation Dragonfly was ripe for exploitation by filmmakers and novelists. Films like The Silent War and novels such as Shadow Flight brought the story of Operation Dragonfly to a wider audience, further ingraining it into the public consciousness. Over time, the official narrative evolved, driven by a combination of public pressure and the slow drip of new information. The government's initial denial turned into an admission of limited operational details, followed by half-hearted attempts at justification. As more documents were declassified, the narrative changed from denial to reluctant acknowledgement. Yet the full truth of Operation Dragonfly remains elusive. The official narrative, shaped by decades of denials, justifications, and reluctant admissions, is still punctuated by conspicuous silences. The media, researchers, and the public continue to probe these silences, seeking answers to the lingering questions. The journey through the Doomsday files continues, revealing more about this shadowy operation with each passing day. Through the fog of secrecy and misinformation, the quest for the truth persists, a testament to the enduring power of public scrutiny and the relentless pursuit of knowledge. But in the quest for truth, it's important to consider all perspectives. While the declassified documents and eyewitness accounts suggest a horrifying nuclear near-miss, there are skeptics who propose an alternate interpretation. Some experts argue that the history of nuclear near-misses is not as terrifying as it appears. They maintain that the systems and checks put in place to prevent nuclear disaster have been successful in averting doomsday scenarios. In their view, the tales of near-misses are testament to the robustness of these safety measures rather than a sign of impending doom. For them, the very fact that we are here to discuss these incidents proves that these safeguards work. Others, however, offer a more nuanced perspective. They point out that while the safety measures did prevent a disaster, the mere existence of these near misses indicates a system that is far from foolproof. They argue that the lack of transparency and accountability in nuclear operations creates an environment ripe for human error and mechanical failure. In their view, the fact that we've had near misses at all is cause for concern. Then, there are those who question the validity of the declassified documents themselves. They argue that the information released to the public is often incomplete, redacted, or even manipulated to serve a particular narrative. These skeptics challenge the accuracy and integrity of the declassified documents, suggesting that they might be part of a disinformation campaign or a cover-up operation. Yet, even in the face of skepticism and counter-arguments, the quest for truth continues. The declassified documents, eyewitness accounts, and the relentless pursuit of knowledge by the public, researchers, and journalists provide valuable pieces of a complex puzzle. Each piece, no matter how small or seemingly insignificant, adds to our understanding of Operation Dragonfly and the broader history of nuclear near-misses. Whether these incidents are aberrations or symptoms of a deeply flawed system, whether the declassified documents are genuine records or part of a disinformation campaign, these are questions that remain open. The journey through the Doomsday files continues, uncovering new layers of truth and complexity with each revelation. The power of public scrutiny and the relentless pursuit of knowledge persist, serving as a beacon of hope in the murky waters of secrecy and misinformation. The thread that connects the various Doomsday files, spanning different decades and governments, is a hauntingly familiar one. It's a tale of secrecy, power, and the human propensity for error, set against the backdrop of the world's most deadly weapons. It's a narrative that repeats itself across the globe, in different times and under different regimes, underscoring the universal nature of these risks and challenges. Take, for example, the Soviet submarine incident in 1983, where a false alarm nearly triggered a nuclear war, or the 1961 Goldsboro B-52 crash in the United States, where a nuclear bomb nearly detonated on American soil, or the 1995 Norwegian rocket incident, where a scientific rocket launch was mistaken for a nuclear attack by Russia. These incidents, among many others, underscore a pattern of near misses, close calls, and potential doomsday scenarios. In each of these cases, secrecy played a crucial role. Just as with Operation Dragonfly, the real dangers of these incidents were hidden from the public for many years. The governments involved often downplayed the risks, either to avoid panic or to protect their own reputations. They painted a picture of infallible systems and absolute control, even while the reality was far more precarious. Then there's the recurring theme of human error and mechanical failure. In many of these near misses, it was not enemy action, but our own mistakes that brought us to the brink of disaster. Faulty radar systems, misinterpreted signals, miscalculations, and even simple accidents have all played their part in these doomsday tales. Lastly, there's the power of nuclear weapons themselves. They are not just tools of war, but symbols of national prestige and geopolitical dominance. The desire to possess these weapons and the willingness to use them has led nations to take enormous risks. But these risks are not borne by the governments alone. They are shared by all of humanity. Yet despite the repeated patterns, there's also a glimmer of hope. In each of these cases, disaster was ultimately averted. Not through luck, but through the actions of individuals, people who questioned, who doubted, who refused to follow orders blindly. People like Stanislav Petrov, the Soviet officer who chose not to launch a retaliatory strike in 1983, or the unnamed technicians who averted disaster during the Goldsboro incident. These individuals remind us that while the Doomsday Files paint a bleak picture, they also offer a testament to the power of human judgment and the potential for change. They remind us that while the risks are real and the stakes are high, we are not helpless. We have the power to question, to challenge, to demand transparency and accountability. And in doing so, we have the power to shape our own destiny. As we delve deeper into the modern relevance of these nuclear near misses, it's clear that the cases we've discussed are far from relics of the past. They continue to cast a long shadow over our present and future. In recent years, newly released documents and ongoing investigations have begun to peel back the layers of secrecy that have long shrouded these incidents. Declassified files, obtained through Freedom of Information Act requests and other channels, have revealed startling details about these near misses, often contradicting official narratives and exposing the extent of the risks involved. For example, declassified documents related to the Goldsboro incident reveal that the nuclear bomb involved was much closer to detonation than previously admitted. This has prompted renewed calls for transparency and accountability from the governments that possess nuclear weapons. The ongoing technological revolution has also played a significant role in this process. Advanced computer modeling and simulation tools have allowed us to gain a better understanding of these incidents, often revealing just how close we came to disaster. At the same time, the spread of information through digital channels has made it increasingly difficult for governments to keep these incidents under wraps. As a result, these historical near misses have taken on a new relevance in the modern world. They serve as stark reminders of the risks inherent in the possession and use of nuclear weapons. They underscore the need for strict safety protocols, robust oversight mechanisms, and a culture of transparency and accountability. However, despite these advances, many mysteries still surround these incidents. There are likely other near misses that remain hidden, buried deep within the vaults of government archives. There are also unanswered questions about the incidents we do know about. What were the exact chain of events? Who were the individuals involved, and what were their motivations? How close did we really come to disaster? These questions continue to haunt us, serving as a potent reminder of the stakes involved. They underscore the importance of learning from these incidents, of understanding the patterns and lessons they offer. The Doomsday Files, then, are not just historical curiosities. They are living documents, rich with lessons for the present and warnings for the future. They remind us of the immense power of nuclear weapons, the fragility of human judgment, and the enduring importance of transparency and accountability. As we continue to grapple with these issues, the Doomsday Files serve as a crucial guide, a grim chronicle of near disasters that can help us navigate the treacherous waters of the nuclear age. In the shadow of these nuclear near misses, it becomes evident that the dance with atomic power is a delicate waltz that treads the fine line between progress and catastrophe. Paradoxically, we find that the more we try to harness this force, the more we must grapple with its potential for destruction. Indeed, the Doomsday Files are not merely a cautionary tale from the past, but an alarming testament to the imperfections in our systems and the fallibility of human judgment. Our exploration into these incidents has revealed a chilling reality. The nuclear age is not a chapter confined to the annals of history, but an ongoing narrative that we continue to write. The secrets buried within these files whisper of a power that, while formidable, is fraught with risk. They speak of the delicate balance of power and the precarious dance that nations must perform to maintain it. As we delve deeper into these forgotten stories, it's clear that the incidents were not isolated anomalies, but rather a symptom of a larger, systemic issue. Secrecy, power, and the intricate web of international relations conspire to create a landscape where the unimaginable could, in a blink, become reality. Yet, in this sobering narrative, there is also a glimmer of hope. The Doomsday Files serve as a stark reminder of the importance of transparency and accountability. They underscore the need for robust checks and balances and the imperative of constant vigilance. They remind us that the quest for nuclear safety is not a solitary endeavor, but a collective responsibility that transcends national borders. This journey into the heart of the Doomsday Files has been a sobering reminder of the dual nature of nuclear power, a force that holds the promise of unrivaled energy and the threat of unparalleled destruction. As we continue to grapple with this paradox, we come to understand that the pursuit of truth, transparency, and accountability in the nuclear age is not just a scientific or political challenge, but a profound moral imperative. At the heart of our exploration is a simple, powerful truth. The ability to wield nuclear power does not merely test our technological prowess, but our humanity. It asks us to confront our deepest fears and our highest hopes, challenging us to find a path that safeguards our future while honoring the lessons of our past. In our struggle to uncover the truth, we do more than just illuminate the hidden corners of history. We light a path forward, guiding us towards a future where the power of the atom can be harnessed not for destruction, but for the benefit of all humanity. This is the enduring lesson of the Doomsday Files, a lesson that echoes through the decades, reminding us of the power we wield and the responsibility that comes with it. Thanks for listening. This has been the Declassified Files. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to follow us wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you'd like to support the show, subscribe to the Forbidden Knowledge Network on Patreon. Subscribe now.